G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 358, Alien Decoratives and Polluted Water, and I've got a Polluted Mojo with me. Hey, mate.
What do you mean polluted?
Well, you've gone green with too much pollution, obviously. So this is an interesting Friday Facts. Couple of things.
It is.
Yeah, couple of news items, couple of different things. It's also 2 weeks to go. So, like, we were hoping to get this done last night, but Mojo was a sleepy Mojo.
Yeah, sleepy koala sleepy.
Yeah, he'd had far too many eucalyptus leaves. It was time to have a nap, and consequently this became a Saturday Friday Facts. But going from the top list, we have the launch party cancelled. Yeah.
Yeah, who knew? We didn't see that coming.
Pretty sure we both mentioned at the time. But yeah, COVID's not really gone and dealt with. Consequently, their launch party, which was designed to happen at like 4 weeks from now, so 2 weeks after 1.0 launch, has been delayed.
Yeah. I mean, they still don't want to do the meetup, as they say, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different, and look, it's one of those things, like, in the launch, or in the lead up to 1.0, normally, I would assume, like, they would have hit every single indie game show in the last 12 months with, like, you know, Factorio 1.0 is coming, the hype is coming, we're doing a final release, but consequently, everything this year's been cancelled. Everything this year's been cancelled.
Yep, everything. Literally every gathering.
Yeah, they've missed all their chances that they'd normally have to build news and awareness about the game and them hitting 1.0. So, yeah, and then have a launch party cancel as well. Like, it comes down to, like, maybe the devs should have either released last year or next year. They've like
2 years ago,
in such a long development line that they've just picked the time to finally go 1.0. Just, it's the worst time that they could have chosen ever. So
yeah. I say 2 years ago because I think 16 was meant to become 1.0 or 1.0.
Yeah, 16 was meant to be 1.0. That was going to be it. We were going to do 16. As soon as 16 hit stable, that was going to be 1.0, done and dusted. Which would have been 2 years ago.
I'm pretty sure I'm confused because it's happened more than once.
No, 15 they were still tweaking things, and they moved it back to 16, and then 16 was going to be 1.0.
16 was going to be the 1.0 coming into 17,
and
then you would come into 17.
Yes, well, 16 would have been turned to 17 as soon as and been 1.0, and then 17 became that's going to be 1.0 into 18, and then 18 is now 1.0 into 19, which will be 1.0. Yeah. So they cancelled a lot of reasons, mainly because they've had rules and regulations come in. So no more than 100 people gathered indoors, and no events over 500 people. On top of that, they've said some of their own team can't make it. So that would suck.
It's funny because that sounds like our seating over in the and I think there's 2 people over in the US actually.
I think there's, from memory, 2 or 3 in the US, and there's 1 in other part of Europe. I want to say the UK, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
yeah, it was actually interesting, hilarious seeing they invited people over in the US because none of the European countries will take people from the US currently.
I think at the time they were talking about doing it, I think our seating could have, or anyone in the US could have flown out to Europe, but maybe not flown back into the US.
Yeah. It's a messy situation either way.
It's ridiculous because, like, we had the same thing here. Like, COVID was almost stamped out, and then Mojo's currently living in quarantine town again. Yeah,
because everyone decided to go out and protest.
Yeah. I never said people were smart. Anyway, so anybody's purchased a ticket, you'll get a full refund, which is great to hear. They still want to do another meetup, but who knows when that could be. Here's to 2021. With that out of the way, we have YouTube, Twitch, and press suggestions, and this one's by Clonan. So over the last few weeks and months, we've been preparing the marketing for our 1.0 launch on the 14th of August, obviously 2 weeks from now. Part of the plan is to go and sending out some free press keys to YouTubers, streamers, and other content creators in hopes they'll give the game a try, help spread the word. To prepare, Jaquita and I have been doing our research, compiling a list of suitable individuals to send a key to. The catch is, just going through YouTube, it's massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of, I guess you'd call it 10K to 100K people, and then 100K to 1 million subs, then, the 1 million club and beyond.
Yeah, each time you go up a step, obviously the amount of content creators in that circle gets smaller and smaller.
Oh, yeah.
But by the same token, there's a lot of YouTubers out there with absolutely ridiculous subscriber numbers, and a subscriber number doesn't mean shit, to be honest.
It generally doesn't.
I saw a guy the other day who had 250,000 subs, and then his last 10 videos maybe had 1,000 videos between all 10 of them. So they are asking for help. So they've put together a simple form, which you actually have up on the screen. It is put in whether they're Twitch, YouTube, or a website or blog, their name, their contact email, their website email, number of subscribers, the number of views on recent videos, which is probably the more important number. Have they covered Factorio before? Would you recommend sending them a press key? Why would you recommend them sending them a press key? And anything else you want us to know about them. And this actually led to a little bit of a side discussion, I guess, because I'm obviously a YouTuber. And I've been doing YouTube videos for 3 years, and I've been watching Factorio videos for probably 2 years on top of that. And there's a lot of major YouTubers out there that have played Factorio previously. So they already have a key.
Pretty much everyone I can name either has it, has played it, has covered it, or has said they don't want to touch it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and same goes for Twitch to a certain extent. Like, there are lots of people that I watch on Twitch that obviously do Factorio because that's what I'm interested in. But there's lots of people I watch on Twitch that don't just do Factorio, and they do other games that I'm interested in, like Oxygen Not Included and so on and so forth, that they've also done Factorio previously.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's actually the same for me on Twitch. There's people I know who either play the game, have played the game, or don't want to touch the game.
Yeah.
For similar reasons for YouTube.
So, look, I'm willing to bet, no matter what, because they're going to reach out with people with a free key, that free key may go to that content creator or one of their friends, one of their mods, whatever it happens to be, and they will probably cover Factorio for 1.0 launch week, launch party. But I can see a lot of content being created, and it runs for a week or less and then just disappears. And they never touch the game again, like a lot of them have already. I was looking, I'm not going to mention names, but I was looking at a bunch of YouTubers last night that all have over 250,000 subs, and they'd all touched Factorio in the last 12 months, and they'd all done series lasting 4 episodes or less. And obviously they hadn't finished the game in 4 episodes. So yeah,
Nominally, most YouTubers these days only do 3 or 4 episodes for a playthrough.
Yeah, and they're not even a proper playthrough. They're like really looking at tiny bits of the game and basically making a blooper reel almost. So
pretty much, that's the current trend with YouTube is you either get long form playthroughs are big again, so your 30-40 minute stuff, which you do.
Yeah.
And then there's the real short, memey stuff is currently really trendy.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I was watching one on Astroneer the other day, which was... It was a sponsored video, and somebody went and made as much dynamite as they could, and they put it on a planet, and they hit the great boom button, and then the game crashed because the game...
It's like 4 people did that.
Yeah, I know, because they all worked out. Somebody obviously did it first, and then everybody's copied, but let's just leave that there. And that's the other thing you're probably going to find with Factorio. Lots of things are going to get done and just copied. Like, I can see many Big Bertha videos coming out in the next 3 weeks. But yeah, it's just... It doesn't showcase a game, and I think that's one of the things that really frustrates me. That's why I tend to do the longer form Let's Play series where it's hour of the game showcasing all the parts of the game, because I think it's more value to the game itself. But I did want to mention, I got early access to Satisfactory. Now, and that's not the only game I've got, but it's the one that comes to the top of my mind. It's most close to Factorio. I had an advance key a week before the game came out, So I was playing what was going to be like the early access version hitting Epic a week early, which meant I got a chance to look through the game, understand the game if I was going to stream it for the first time on launch day. At the same time, I also got a chance to like record a series for it that I could release over the next couple of days when embargo lifted.
Yeah.
Which,
That was actually the thing that really confused me, was that normally these come out like 2 weeks in advance minimum.
yeah, they come
Usually.
out at least a week.
Oh, yeah.
At least a week, and here we are 2 weeks out, and maybe they've sent out some keys and they're looking for more people to send keys to, but my question is it going to be the current early access version that you, I, and everybody else has, or is it going to be the 1.0 candidate with some of the features we're going to cover? Because that could make a difference. It could make a very big difference.
Yes. Will they give extra special early access to 1.0 to YouTubers or not?
Yeah. And then my follow-up question is, where's my key? Anyway, with that out of the...
So is mine.
Yep. Look,
I was going to say, I had heard that Anno 1800 went out, I think 5 months in advance.
Yes,
for making videos. That's how far ahead these are.
It's quite common for games to go out like as soon as they pick a date for release. That's when they'll say, okay, that's the release candidate. Not, they'll keep doing updates to it as they get bugs from content creators, because they tend to use the content creators sort of as a second form of bug catchers. What's the word, Mojo? The job title.
QA.
Yeah, QA, quality assurance. So they tend to use content creators as a second level of quality assurance, because they tend to do stupid things like blow up planets, which works out whether there's bugs and that sort of stuff. Not to mention they're recording everything, so they can say, here is the video file of where I encountered this bug, so... Yeah, whatever. Anyway, polluted water. So as they're done with redesign the graphics 1.0, we could focus on some graphical improvements. Because we're also so close to release, it's a good idea to focus on things unlikely to break the game and don't cost too much time. This didn't cost too much time. Why didn't we get it 2 years ago? As well
Excellent
as
question.
having...
Well, we didn't have the other feature 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
This.
It's relying on another feature, but it's still it's so overdue. But yes, this has as large an impact as possible, which I would 100% agree with. One of the biggest themes of the game is pollution, considering that one of the least visible elements in the game. You only see it on map view and on dying trees. It would be lovely if you could make grass or decoratives die too, but that's something way too technically complicated for now. I actually don't think I want the decoratives to die.
No.
Because I've got to say, after, the trees die, and honestly, I don't even really see that anymore, because I spend 90% of my time running around parts of the map with dead forests, and I just get
trees
shocked.
Dying.
Well,
I'm not sure if it's me, or if it's the fact that because I swear that the trees dying is not as graphically apparent as it used to be.
I tend to agree, and I think it's also that I spend 90% of my gameplay time seeing dead trees. I don't really see live ones anymore, not unless I start a new game and I'm like, oh my god, the trees have leaves and stuff, not stumps that may have been already burnt in a previous forest fire or not. But yeah, I don't want the decoratives to die, because if the decoratives die, there is literally nothing, and I've recently done a couple...
It makes it even more brown.
Well, I've done a couple of tutorial videos recently, and I turned off the decoratives, which is funny, because in the past, going a long time ago, we didn't have any decoratives, and the terrain looks so boring and dead without them that
it's like the pre-decoratives days when when was it added? When was it originally added? 13. When decoratives killed the game.
I thought it was past 13.
That was when they were first added, and then they had to be changed to so that the decorative spam didn't kill the game.
Okay, because I remember 14, the decoratives were not really a thing. Maybe they're just so few and far in between, you just didn't notice them.
They were toned down a bit, but that was when before, back in 12, there was just nothing. It was just bare tiles everywhere. Maybe occasional decorative. but it was mostly blank.
Well, it was
The
horrible.
13 introduced the decoratives. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that was when deleting decoratives became a big deal in 13 and 14.
Oh, actually, that's what I remember. I remember in 15 there was one of the UPS mods that removed all the decoratives because they still mattered.
And that was standard practice.
Yeah. But anyway,
I think it was fixed in 16.
Yeah, 16 they became a nothing. Like, the only thing they affect now is overall RAM size, funnily enough. But that only matters if you decide too much to the edge of the map. Yes, the map has an edge. If you've missed previous Friday Facts, if you go to 1,000,000 tiles in any direction, you will reach the great border of the map. I'm not telling you what's there. The only way you're going to find out is by building a very long train line and getting there yourself.
Or teleporting.
No, don't tell them about that. I will warn you, it's a 3-hour train ride on nuclear fuel. So, it's close.
Motor trains.
Yeah. So, one of the things that could and does show pollution is water. For a very long time, we've had green water tiles in the game, and we've used them in campaign missions. This has been in the second campaign, I think, forever.
Yeah,
or the second...
at least in the first or second map, has always been there.
The second tutorial campaigny thingamajiggy bop. And honestly, the green water is a little bit meh. It exists, it's fine, but I have to say, you seeing it like this, it's entirely different. So we have 2 water types, one being blue, one being green. As it's just tiles, it wasn't really feasible to use both of them because the transition between them would be too abrupt, not to mention water tiles would have to generate that way and dynamically change as the map gets more polluted, leading to more technical problems. So it was really a semi-technical thing to get green water, but they updated water to use a shader in Friday Facts 3.2.3, which was when they made the animated water. So as long as you have animated water, it can be animated green.
Yes, you could dynamically pull the from the pollution mapping, chunk pollution mapping, and apply it to the shader.
Yeah. So after typical Priscilla dark magic of in polyading and converting the pollution types on chunks, we could blend between the primary and secondary color, and that way it's directly tied to the red cloud you see on the map, so it's consistent. So very quickly we can see on this map that obviously right here in the center of the base, really polluted, and as we work out closer to the edge of the blue water, it's less and less polluted. And this makes such a difference.
It does. This is a big change to the game. It's too bad. It's too bad we don't get to see it until 1.0.
Oh, there's a second way worse thing than that. Way worse. So, yeah, we mentioned that. Oh, well, no, we're gonna have to wait for that. So there's 2 terrible things, and one of them is linked to also the biter decorations. So, biter decorations are all the way back in Friday Facts 252, which was, funnily enough, Mojo, it was the one with the artillery sound that never showed up.
Yeah. It is in the game now.
It finally showed up like a year later or 11 months later or whatever it was. It was a ridiculously long later. We had the spawner redesign in HR. So the guys over at Woob updated the spawners and also put this creep on the ground, which looked extra gross. And finally, in 1.0, it'll actually make it in the game. So, one of the plans was later to give them own biome in the world. We had some temporary decal and decoration sprites being prepared for a long time now. Yeah. Over 2 years on simple Friday Facts numbers. Yep. In the end, we didn't want to spend an awful lot of time on tweaking the generator properties and placing them just right. So we wanted to create under new bases as biters expand. Therefore, we decided to add some special logic to generate them as spawners and turrets were created. Our initial naive implementation was to place decals just randomly, and Ernest turned the number of decals created up to 11 to make the ground cover the way he liked. That in turn made me, Priscilla, unhappy because the middle of biter bases there was too many decals overlapping one another that even your GTX 1080 would take notice of the increased workload, and a laptop with integrated GPU would fall to its knees. Yup. Which made him realize artists really wished our tile render had a texture splattering feature, but he wasn't ready to change the specific tile renderer yet again. To rework it, add in new features this close to release. He also did want to add an option to disable rendering of decals, as together with that already existing option, disabled decoratives would make the terrain look completely plain, which we covered previously. And yeah, plain terrain just looks horrible. Just don't do it. So instead, they changed the decal placement to use
Person.
That's it. Yeah.
I was waiting for it.
Disk sampling, which produces points that are randomly placed but somewhat evenly spaced out from each other. And I actually looked this up on the Wikipedia, and it's this one, which is, yeah, they're randomly evenly placed points on the map, which it does say is the computational time required for this algorithm is just too great to justify in real-time rendering. But this is not real-time rendering. This is on map generation. So you spend the time once, and then that's it for each, chunk of biters or whatever. So it's a really, really good option. But yeah, so that fixed the overlapping issues, and once we knew it could actually be generated, including the bases created by biter expansions, Inerstus, well, no, I give up. It's done. I'm done. It's Saturday. It's over. Could finalize the graphics, mucus, mold, eggs, worms, all kinds of body fluids, and slime. As you can see, this immediately looks much more like a nest, and this is super gross.
Yeah, I can't see all the mucus, eggs, and slime and worms and things, though.
I can't really, but, it's gross already. I fully support it becoming more gross. Compared to the one in Friday Facts 252, it's a massive improvement.
It is.
Let's zoom in. So, I don't know what the orange is up in the top right-hand corner.
I think that's meant to be mucus or one of those. It's actually the one thing it's always sort of been aware of, but it never really thought about it. Is you see up in the top right-hand corner, there's the behemoth spitter.
Yeah.
If you were standing on that behemoth spitter, there's a good chance you would be at eye level with that cliff.
Yes, you would.
Behemoths are massive. Even the small biters, you realize that they're almost as the width of a tree trunk.
Oh, yeah.
The body is almost the width of a tree trunk. And standing upright, a big biter is probably as tall as a tree.
Yeah, and don't forget, worms, when they pop up, way taller once again.
Yes.
A behemoth worm, that's tall enough to clear a couple of cliffs stacked one on top of one another. So, yeah.
On that note, it's kind of lucky that behemoths don't just happily climb over cliffs and ignore them because they're so massive.
Mod idea right there.
I'm actually amazed no one's done it.
I think it's because the way the cliffs are designed that they're so impassable that biters can't pass over them, just like you can't pass over them. But then again, actually,
they're just a basic go, no-go.
The hovercraft passes over them by flying. So if you created a behemoth biter that technically flew... Okay, I'm going to stop thinking right there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so super, super gross. I really love it. I do hope that we get a bit more definition of... Mojo's right, the eggs.
Yeah, got to see all the gross stuff. Got to see it in full detail.
The eggs and definitely the mucus. The yellow stuff sort of looks a little bit mucusy by the same token. It sort of looks like a little bit like dead leaves that have just yellowed with age. So yeah, just scale the gross factor up by like another 2 or 3 numbers. I do remember when we went from the original biters to the HD biters, they were a lot more gross, a lot more icky. The sound effects made them even worse. I want to have that feeling back because I've got used to these biters now. I just, I need to feel weirded out again. So yeah, we've decided.
I was going to say it's like the Crastorio creep. That's the one, which has the bits of, smushed biter in the creep and.
I'll do that. I haven't seen it up close. I haven't played. Crastorio
it's got all kinds of crazy things going on in it.
It's funny, Crastorio 2 brought out creep underneath biter bases, but then again, the devs showcased it in a Friday Facts 2 years ago Factorio did it like a year and a bit later. And then finally, the devs are actually adding it into the base Factorio, 6 months again later. So, yeah, they definitely have their ideas. It's just somewhere between idea and implementation. Sometimes passes, like artillery sounds and creep underneath the biter bases. Anyway, they've again decided not to bother with a migration, as we also want to focus on other things like bug fixes. So existing biter bases on older maps loaded in 1.0 won't have these decoratives. We imagine a lot of people want to start a fresh map anyway, and it's much nicer to identify as a 1.0 map. The polluted water and the biter decoratives were released on the 14th of August in 1.0. So now we got to wait for nukes, biter bases, biter creep, and polluted water for another 2 weeks. And they didn't mention it explicitly. I thought they did. But I have no idea if the polluted water is going to migrate up to 1.0 saves, basically. So if you take your existing save and update it, whether you're going to get polluted water. I really hope we do. Because I have to admit, the green water is something I'm really actually looking forward to.
So am I.
I think
because it's something that's been it's been teasing the idea of for a long time.
It's something that I haven't seen a mod either. Like, I have seen just green water outright, and just brown water, and just purple water, and all these sorts of things in mods, but I haven't seen dynamically changing water color according to pollution levels. I have seen water spreading. Actually, I've seen that with pollution levels. And water drying up when you put an offshore pump in there and suck the water out. So I have seen lots of things when it comes to water and water levels, so to speak, with mods. But I haven't seen anybody just do a plain simple, more pollution equals bad, water goes color. But yeah, I think when it comes to 1.0, my favorite things I'm looking for are 1 nukes, 2 polluted water, and 3 creep.
I'm actually indifferent to the creep.
This is why it's in the 3rd position. I really couldn't care. I did just notice on the polluted water, the big picture of the polluted water, that all the biter bases there don't have creep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm indifferent on the creep as well. Obviously, it's going to add a bit more to the game. I agree with that entirely. On the flip side, it can come, it can go. It in its current iteration, it's not gross and creepy enough for me yet. And it
still visually adds something, but it's not high on the list.
And it does sort of remind me of StarCraft and the Zergs.
Yeah, it does.
It's the more we keep going down with this creep idea, the more it reminds me of little Zerglings. Because the Zergling bases were about that color, that shape, that size, and they had ground covering that they had to build on. Anyway, I think that's it for this Friday Facts. We've got 2 weeks to go, which means 2 weeks of, 1 more week of Friday Facts with...
You know what would be 3rd for me? Apart from the nukes, the polluted water nukes, and then the new trailer, which is also coming with 1.0.
Okay, and can I add in a 4th before we get to the creep? Can we have the picture on the refinery, when you press the Alt button, actually line up with any of the fluid colors in any order?
None of them line up. I think I told you about that, didn't I?
You did. And then I noticed it again today, and I'm just so frustrated with it now, because like every other little thing has been fixed. But then I looked at the refinery, and I think I had it. So I think it's 3 colors down the bottom and 2 colors up the top. And I think I had the refinery in like 180 degrees version of that. And I'm like, oh, look, that one lines up with that one. And then water lines up with that one. And then, hang on, there's petroleum in the middle. Okay.
Yeah, petroleum's in the middle. Just to make sure it doesn't line up.
Nothing lines up with nothing. Like, I quit. Yeah. I'm done. I'm just like, can we please, like, Woob, if you're listening, please. You did the blueprint library. I'm in love with the blueprint library. I've been updating blueprints myself to the new version with the drag drop placement. I just did a whole video on intermediates where I can run in a straight line and just drag out 10 rows of gears, and same with green circuits and even red circuits, and even if you're careful with how you build your blueprints, have extra details at like the start of the blueprint so you can filter out materials that after you click drag and run don't appear in further copies because you're careful with how you've built your blueprints. I love the feature, but I gotta say, this one's popped up and it's just like, oh my god, it's just so annoying. It's the little things, really, and I guess that's what 1.0 is all about. It's all about trying to fix the last little things that you just overlooked for so long that they've just become normal.
Well, that was part of the graphics update and the icon update.
Yes, it was part of the icon update, and I have no idea how somebody missed it, but they did. But then again, like if you look up an old version, actually, speaking of trailers, if you go look at the old Factorio trailer, go to YouTube, as soon as this video's done, type in, I think it's Woob software.
Yeah, it is.
And look at the latest trailer they have, and look at the railway track, and then shoot yourself in the foot, because we played with that railway track and those.
It's painful, the pre-13 track.
Look, we played with those tracks and we played with those trains, and we were perfectly happy. And then
that reminds me. Speaking of trains, the achievement on the achievements, like getting on track with a pro, uses the old train graphic.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Does it? Oh, well, I've already spoke to the devs about that, and they're like, no, we're just not touching Steam achievements graphics until after 1.0. It's just not going to happen.
There's probably something very technically involved with that, possibly.
They're
I'm not sure.
Probably all manually made. Oh yeah, getting on track like a pro. Can I bring this up in a nice, pretty picture? Come on, Wiki, you can. No, okay, Wiki can't do it.
There's two of them. There's getting on track like a pro and Golden.
Oh, and the biter one. It stinks. They don't like it. Has an old picture of biter.
That's true. It's just funny because the train one came after the train graphics update.
Trans Factorio Express is another one.
Oh yeah, train path, 1,000 tiles.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones that you just pick up automatically. Yeah, getting on track like a pro has the really old style of locomotive, which the locomotive got replaced first, and then the train track got updated, or the train track get updated.
The same time. It all got updated at the same time.
But did the train track get updated again?
I think it got done in 15.
I think the locomotive got swapped out maybe with an earlier train track. And then,
no, the train track wasn't touched until 15.
Okay, so they did the loco first.
The loco and the train stop was 13.
Because
that fixed the scaling issue. Oh, and the cargo wagon, because that fixed the scaling issue. And then 15 was the 15, 16. One of the other 15.
I want to say, I think it was 15 to 16. They redid the train track.
15, 14 to 15.
Well, there you go. But again, like, go look at the old train tracks. We were happy with that. Same with the old locomotives. We were happy with that. They looked great. We were done and dusted. And then,
the old signal icon.
We're done. Yeah. So you go look at some of the old graphics. We were happy, and then you look at them now, and you're like, how do we ever deal with that?
Dear God, they're horrible. They're horrific.
But yes, with all that said, the Friday Facts has gone far too long. We got completely sidetracked again. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you're enjoying. We'll see you guys for next week, which will be the last Friday Facts before 1.0.
359.
Yeah. I don't know. We've always been debating whether there's going to be something special, something hidden, something unique.
Yeah.
We've been asking what are they going to drop before 1.0 that isn't in the, what are they going to drop prior to 1.0 in the Friday Facts that then surprise us in game? So far we know about nukes, we now know about the polluted water. There's now the creep. What else do they have to drop on us?
I don't know.
It's not going to be the trailer.
I have a feeling this polluted water one they've been holding out on.
Yeah, I do too. I have a feeling it's not been slapped together at last minute. I think it's probably been done somewhere in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
I was going to say 1 or 2 months ago this has probably been done for.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me.
We're both speculating, but yeah, I think it's probably been done post graphics updates where they updated all the icons. and just required a little bit of black magic, and away we go. Anyway, that's it. We're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys for next week when I don't know what's coming, but yeah, we're out. Bye.
Bye-bye.